Hello, this is Deacon Joseph Swaden. This is not part of the How to Do Apologetics broadcast. I'm pre-recording this actually because I just felt like doing that. I was doing some searching because I was trying to see what I could find in terms of if there were any new discussions, Orthodoxy versus Catholicism, Orthodoxy versus Protestantism, and I came across a short video, which apparently was on EWTN, and I thought I'd answer it live because I've now heard this argument put over the past 2 years so many times. And if you're not Orthodox, it's a if you are Orthodox, it sounds like a stupid argument. But if you're not Orthodox, it sounds really, really plausible. But I'm going to take it apart because it's really dumb. And so, if you don't mind, I'm going to share the video and we will stop it as it goes along. It really doesn't get better. It's just so run of the mill, so typical. We've heard this so many times. Every Orthodox apologist just kind of head face palms on this. It's just that bad. All right, so let's share, and we're gonna make sure. Hold on. First off, here we want to make that bigger, or make that bigger like that. Hold on. Let me see here because I think I set things occasionally at like high speed. Okay, that's at normal. All right. So anyway, let's start that. I guess this is a Roman Catholic communion show, Call to Communion with Dr. David Anders on EWTN. So it's the Mother Angelica Network. It's, the big Catholic channel, and this was the question. And did I share sound? I'm going to try it again just to make sure because I want everyone to hear it because we've all heard it. It's terrible. Share the audio. Share. Okay.
Hey, Terry, what's on your mind today?
Hey, thanks. I was wondering how to respond to the claim that Catholics are the first Protestants and the Orthodox is the true church.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the question. So, a lot of things we need to know to answer this question. One of them is, well, which Orthodox are you talking about?
This is their best argument. I've heard this for 2 years.
Which Orthodox are you talking about? Because there are competing claims to the title of Orthodoxy. You have the largest Orthodox body, which is all the families of Byzantine Orthodox churches that accept the Council of Chalcedon. You have the Monophysite family or the Oriental Orthodox churches of Egypt and Syria and Ethiopia that reject the Council of Chalcedon and have a different orthodoxy. You have the Assyrian churches of the East that reject the Council of Ephesus and also lay claim to the mantle of orthodoxy. They all claim antiquity and they all claim orthodoxy, and they can't agree on which councils are actually ecumenical. So which one are you going to talk about? Which one are you going to talk about?
And we're going to say, okay, we hear this argument all the time in the past couple of years from all these Catholic apologists. Which Orthodox church? Do you mean the Byzantine church? Do you mean the Coptic church? Do you mean the Monophysite church? Actually, that's not a relevant question, and I'm going to say why. If we look at the creed of our church, we believe in one holy Catholic and apostolic church. And if we were to, look at this, the creed of, say, I don't know, let's say the Assyrian church, which I conveniently have right here, and we believe in one holy Catholic, apostolic, and Catholic church. I guess they have it the other way. Maybe it's a language issue. So they also believe they're the Catholic church. And so then let's see here. But what about the Coptic church? I mean, they probably have their own creed, right? Let's find out. I'm just so excited to know. Let's see. Here's the Coptic Diocese of Los Angeles, and they believe in one holy Catholic and apostolic church. What a surprise! It seems as though almost all of us, if not all of us, believe we are the Catholic Church. So you see, the question isn't which Orthodox church. The question is which Catholic church. I personally believe that the Orthodox Church is the true Catholic Church. And the Roman Catholic Church is a false schism from the true Catholic Church. But I'm sure that that's the way a Copt feels, even though his religion is primarily in some parts of the Middle East and Africa, with some missions scattered here and there. And I'm sure that the Nestorian and the Assyrian believe that they're the Catholic Church, even though they're in their, relegated areas, so on and so forth. So one could make the argument that, just because some West European schism from the Catholic Church is claiming to be the Catholic Church, that does not make them so. So we continue.
And there's really no way out of that circle, right? Because if you ask an Orthodox, well, how do you know which church is Orthodox?
Well, how do you know which church is Catholic, buddy?
Well, we accept the Orthodox councils. Which ones are those? Well, the ones accepted by the Orthodox Church, of course. So it's a circular reason.
That's not actually circular. It's simply saying the Orthodox councils and then explaining that the Orthodox councils are the ones accepted by the Orthodox Church, which are numbered, are listed, and extend all the way to the 19th century. But we continue.
You can't really get out of that conundrum. And so unless God established a living voice of authority that could definitively answer that question.
Well, I'll be darned too, because now you have a new problem. If all of these churches are claiming to be the Catholic Church, and you're the only church that claims to have some sort of divine oracle in your patriarchate that extends throughout the world, maybe you're the problem. Because even though we all disagree, everyone who's claiming to be Catholic and everyone who's claiming to be Orthodox, for some reason, none of us have this oracle at Rome there that we call the Papacy. And the popes of the first millennium didn't believe in this oracle at Rome there, this universally jurisdictional patriarch, but we'll go on.
It's similar to the problem that Protestants have about trying to ask, well, how do you know what the canon of Scripture is? If Scripture is your only authority, how do you know what books belong in the Bible?
We're going back to the infallible interpreter argument, which has been broken down many times.
Well, the ones that God put in there, how do you know what that is? Well, God told you. Just know that
Even though the canon of Scripture was well established in the church by the 4th century, and it was not ratified by a pope per se, but by local councils, and was generally accepted within the conscience of the church.
you can't get out of it. So it's similar to the conundrum that let's break it down a little bit further. What really distinguishes the Orthodox from the Catholics? What's the line in the sand?
Tell us, what's the line in the sand?
Well, it's teaching of papal authority.
Yep, he's right. It is the teaching of papal authority.
Orthodox reject universal jurisdiction.
We also reject the filioque and unleavened bread, but that's beside the point.
They don't believe that. Both not the universal pastor of the church.
You know who else didn't believe that? St. Gregory the Great, who actually condemned the idea of a universal bishop and thought that was satanic.
It's really distinguishes Orthodox from Catholics. Right? You're gonna
I agree.
tell me that position is the one that Christ taught, the one that the apostles taught, the one that the church has always held.
Except the church didn't always hold that all the way up to the 11th century. That was never a belief, which is why even Western churches broke into schism from Rome and had no fear of repercussions. They were not worried about communion with the chair of Peter or being under his universal jurisdiction or any of that stuff. So let's see what he mumbles on about next.
Okay? And you think that councils are the way to establish that? Great. Which ecumenical council ever declared that teaching to be heretical?
The Council of 1484, which was held after the Council of Florence, which endorsed the encyclical letter of St. Mark of Ephesus, which was further endorsed by the rest of the church. And just to read from that letter, because I think that would be handy, we'll just switch to that. And that's the one that talks about how Roman Catholics are supposed to be received through chrismation because they are not simply schismatics, but heretics. And it says, and for us, the Pope is as one of the patriarchs, and that alone, if he be orthodox, while they with great gravity proclaim him vicar of Christ, father and teacher of all Christians. May they be more fortunate than their father, who are also like him, for he does not greatly prosper, having an anti-pope who is the cause of sufficient unpleasantness, and they are not happy to imitate him. And so, brethren, flee from them and from communion with them, for they are false apostles, deceitful workers, transforming themselves into apostles of Christ. And no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Therefore it is no great thing if his ministers also be transformed as the ministers of righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works. Should I leave it at that or just finish it? I mean, it's mostly mumbling at this point, but we'll let it go.
None. What confession of faith established it? None. Where do we find the claim the Pope is not the universal pastor of the Church?
St. Gregory the Great's a good start.
Articulated. We find it in Byzantium in the late 4th century.
And in Rome in the late 6th century, but who's counting?
At the Council of Constantinople, there were some Byzantine theologians that floated that idea of a trial balloon, hoping to get the head of the church transferred to Constantinople. What did the
This is one of the worst things I've heard in any discussion of Roman Catholic versus Orthodox apologetics. He's talking about Canon 28, which does not transfer the primacy from Rome to Constantinople, but puts Constantinople in the second place over Alexandria and Antioch and Jerusalem. And on that, he's just wrong.
Universal Church say, no, we're not going there.
No, actually, popes protested, some accepted, some protested, but Canon 28 was generally recognized throughout the entire rest of the church, even in the West in the 9th century.
Wrong. That's not true.
No, sorry, you're wrong. Mm-hmm.
Because everybody in antiquity,
I love this. Everybody in antiquity.
East and West alike,
Does that include the Monophysites and the Copts and all the other people who call themselves the Catholic Church?
recognized that the seat of the church's unity was in Rome. Let me share with you the judgment of an Orthodox theologian about Mrs. Nicholas Afanassiev, not a Catholic. His understanding of the vocation of the Church of Rome prior to the Council of Nicaea. So we're talking about
This is, by the way, another typical Roman Catholic tactic we've seen so many times. Let's pull up a modern scholar from the ecumenical era to prove our point that the ancient apostolic practice was definitely Roman.
Rome's vocation, he writes, consisted in playing the part of arbiter, settling contentious issues by witnessing to the truth and falsity of whatever doctrine was performed. Rome was truly the center where all converged, and they wanted their doctrine to be accepted by the conscience of the church. Did not count upon success except on one condition: that the Church of Rome had received their doctrine, and refusal from Rome predetermined the attitude of the other churches would adopt. So,
Besides the fact that that's just wrong, because we can prove that with the Tome of Leo, other things. Curious as to the identity of the person who said that. And it was Nicholas Afanassiev, was a prominent Russian priest and theologian of the 1917 immigration from Russia at St. Sergius Institute. Now, we've talked a long time about the ecumenists at St. Sergius Institute, but basically, Nikolai Afanassiev was ordained by Metropolitan of Logias himself in 1940. He's best remembered for, it says here on Wikipedia, the recovery of Eucharistic theology, which influenced Orthodox and non-Orthodox theologians alike ever since. Active in ecumenical discussions, Afanassiev was an official ecumenical observer at Vatican II. His best-known work is his essay on the primacy of Rome in the ancient church, entitled "The Church which Presides in Love." Okay, so Nicholas Afanassiev is a dedecumenist, and that is their basis for saying that his opinion over the opinions of the fathers themselves of the first 10 centuries means that Rome was definitely the head of the church. Do we have anything left on this?
What arguments were put forward in defense of that doctrine? So when they had to justify it, what did they say? It was on account of the preeminence of her apostolic figures and the fact that Rome's bishop sat in the seat of Peter. No claims about the empire, no claims about political jurisdiction. No, it was the apostolic foundations of Rome's church with succession from the apostles, heirs of the promises that Christ made St. Peter.
Putting aside the fact that all orthodoxies have some sort of succession from the apostles, I should also note that Alexandria and Antioch also claim to be the chair of Peter, something that has been acknowledged by many sainted popes, something that has been acknowledged in the church calendars in East and West, and so that's a terrible argument.
You want to look for the earliest doctrines in the ancient church about the authority of Rome. They point to divine institution. And so the novel looking, the new guy, the one that was not ancient, the one that was not Catholic, was the rejection of Roman primacy. First,
Wrong. Historically, the concept of papal universal jurisdiction doesn't arrive until the Dictatus Papae in 1075. I recommend watching our Who Invented the Roman Catholic Church series, and so you could see why, but no, this was met with great resistance in the West. It was considered novel. They anathematized a pope over it. They elected a real pope, and then basically Gregory VII, also known as Hildebrand, continued pushing for his insane system, while everybody else in Western Europe recognized that the real pope was Clement III, who never held such craziness. Unfortunately, due to the joys of civil war and so on and so forth in the West, one side won out. The Orthodox Catholic side lost, and the newly created Roman Universal Primacy side, which would become the Roman Catholic Church, came into being. So if we're going to talk about the new guy on the block, we're really talking about the new guy chopping off the other guy's head and stuff like that. But the point is that the new guy on the block wasn't denying papal universal primacy. The new guy on the block was universal papal primacy.
first floated in his hands in the late 5th century, and later solidified after the 12th century, after the 11th century, when the Orthodox finally withdrew from the Eastern Room.
Okay. Terry, that's helpful for you. Thank you so much for your call.
And that, folks, is why you shouldn't trust people on TV.